Hi everyone! In this video we are going to go through how you can go about setting up a web page, the design, both wireframes and prototypes, for assignment number 3 using PowerPoint. Because I do acknowledge that not everybody in class is this design wizard or a Photoshop wizard who knows how to manipulate layouts and stuff using Photoshop. That PowerPoint seems to be an application that most of you have a pretty good grasp on, and it presents a nice alternative, in my opinion, better than Word, because Word does some weird layout things that PowerPoint, being a visual application or it's designed to do visual presentations, does make for a good alternative. So what we need to do, of course, is open up a new slide in PowerPoint. So I've gone in and I've opened up, it just is a blank presentation and nothing on it. But remember, where this says click for title, click to add subtitle, this is a layout. So we need to do a couple things to kind of prep this PowerPoint document first. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up under File and go down to Page Setup, because I need to make sure that this is going to be appropriate for a website, not a paper document or even a screen presentation, although there's some similarities. So the first thing we need to do is set our size. And so you can see that there's a lot of different options. Mine, in this case, defaults to widescreen. I'm going to go to custom. And the thing that I need to do next is I need to open up a calculator. You can use your phone. So I'm just going to pull up this. And 960 is this magic number because it divides really well by other things. And I talk about it in one of the other videos, is if we're going to make this setup for 960 is our width, and we know that 72, it's 72 dots per inch or pixels per inch. I'm going to take 960 divided by 72. It tells me that I need to make my page 13.33 wide. So I'm going to go in here and go 13.33 wide. Now remember, our height isn't nearly as important because we have the ability to scroll, but I do want this to be reasonably large. And if I did a page that was 13.33 wide and only 8 inches high, that is going to be a pretty odd looking rectangle. So I'm going to start with this as a pretty good size square, and I might need to adjust this. So 13.33 by 13. It's pretty close to a square, so I'm going to hit OK. I do not want to scale any of the content up, so I'm going to say scale down. So it's just going to fit into this page. So there it is. This is now my new layout. The other thing that I need to do is I need to go into where it says layout up at the top and make sure that I pick the blank slide. I'm actually going to do one more thing, and that is see these guides that show up on my screen that I can move around. They're going to be really useful. So I have mine turned on, but to get yours to turn on, we go up under this main menu and go to View. And there are a couple of important buttons here. The first one is Ruler, and so you'll want to click that so it's turned on. And the second one is Guides. And so now you can scroll these around. There's only 2 to begin with, but if you right-click in middle of your screen, you'll see that Guides is an option, and you can add vertical or horizontal guides, and then you can slide them around. These are going to become really useful when we're laying out our pages. So this is now ready and primed to go. It's assumed at this point, hopefully, that you have a few sketches, that you're going to kind of know what your pages are going to look like, because we don't want you just designing on the computer. It's best to start out with some stuff on paper first and then pick your best option. And then from there, start laying things out. Okay, so now I have the basics of my page set up. Now what I need to do is the first thing, anyway, that because it's required of the assignment, but it also helps in your layout, is to use the 960 grid. So I want to be able to line things up. So these guides are going to help me some, but this grid's going to help more. So I'm going to go up and I'm going to insert a picture. I already have saved it as a JPEG. I'm not going to show you how to do that part in here. So I'm just going to sit and put insert, and notice how this doesn't fill up the whole page. Well, I want it to fill up the whole page so that the red is right at the edge, and it is on the other side. And I'm gonna go over here and I'm just gonna make some adjustments to make that fit, and that looks pretty darn good. So I'm gonna leave that there. But notice there's a couple of things going on. First of all, I can't see the edges of my screen. And the other is that I have the risk of moving this around if I'm adding other components. So what I'm going to do now that I have this nicely positioned is I'm going to cut this out of here. I am going to go up to View and select Slide Master. It should take me to my blank slide. If not, scroll through here until you find the blank slide. And now I'm just going to go right in here and say paste. And then I'm going to make it line up right to the top of my page and make sure that the red is on either side. So there we are. This is nice and positioned, and I can close out of the master. So now you can see I'm right out in my page. I can't accidentally click on it and move it around. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to start putting some components in that I think I'm going to use. And you're going to do this based off of hopefully the sketches you've put together. It really makes things much easier if you work from sketches than just trying to do this all right on the computer from the beginning. I'm going to go up into, I'm just up my home tab. I'm going to go into shapes and I'm going to find just a box. So I'm going to go in and create my menu bar. That'll be my first thing. And notice it's blue. I don't want this to be blue. I do need this to be just straight up black and white. So I'm going to go under the Shape Format tab and I'm going to be making some changes. Actually, I don't even like that as much. I'm going to right click on this and say Format Shape. At least in the Mac, it pulls up this element on the right hand side. And I want to change the fill and the line colors. So in this case, I'm going to say I don't want any fill, but I do want a line and I don't want it blue. So I'm going to click black and I want to make it a little bit thicker so that we can actually see it. Remember, this isn't a visual design in the sense of we're not adding color, we're not making this pretty. I need to be able to see it. So I'm going to put in some of my menu items. Oh, and we're in a text, it's all white, so we need to go and change that. I'm going to go back here and I'm just going to make this black. So there's home. I'm going to just click my tab and add some of my other items. And you know what? I've decided because the tabs aren't all going to be equal, I'm just going to put some spaces in between instead. Okay, so there's my menu items, and mine happens to be uncentered. If you want your stuff to be left-oriented, right-oriented, go ahead and adjust it accordingly. So there is my navigation bar that I'm going to have. I've also decided that I want to have on this a large banner image, so I'm going to go select my box again, and we're just going to put a box in here that's going to be representative of an image that I will put in later. But again, I do not want this to be any sort of color, so it defaults to blue. So I'm just going to put that in. The other thing I like to do, because it really helps me understand that this is an image, is I'm going to go in and insert and make this into a kind of a cross, just like if you're working in some design software, that this is how you indicate things are an image, is you put this big cross or X in here. So I'm just going to put those in, and I'm going to change the color of these so that they're also black. We don't want any color here. Okay, so now this is starting to look like a little bit of a website. Now what if I want to put a logo in here? Well, I'm not going to put the actual logo, so again I'm just going to represent it with a shape. So I'm going to go pull another box, and I want mine to be completely flush left and kind of centered in this space up here. So this will be my logo space. And again, I need to type in here, and I'm going to indicate this is my website logo. And I'm going to go ahead and change that color again. So there we're starting to get the idea of what's going on in here. Now let's think about, so far we've done everything that goes across our page. Well, what about this darn grid? I want to split this first page into 2 even parts. That's where this grid comes in. So I'm just going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to slide a guide over right there. And so see this white gap? That's going to be my column. So I'm going to go find myself another box, and I'm going to put in this all the way over. Remember, in the real website, this might not have a colored background, but I'm just indicating that I want there to be a column here that's going to hold content. So I'm just changing my colors over again. I'm just going to thicken up that border to make it a little bit easier to see. And above that, I want to have some sort of headline. So I'm going to select a text box, and I'm just going to put headline, and I'm going to drag it over here. Now, use the tools that PowerPoint gives you. I want this to be flush left with this. So I'm going to go up and select under Arrange. We have a line, and I'm going to align left. That's going to guarantee that it's all there. My headline, I don't want it to be standard type size. I'm probably going to want it bold, and I'm going to want it a little bit bigger. So I'm going to pick a larger size font, and this one is up to you to kind of determine exactly what you want. Now notice there's this little gap right here, and that's because my text, the box has some padding on it. So if I right click on this without clicking on the headline, there we go. Actually on the box, not the text, there we go. Format shape, text options, let me just take a look here. Okay, so under text options, and then this little one, if you get the pop-up window, it's under like advanced or more options, but see under left margin, right margin, top and bottom, I have this little bit of spacing. So I'm going to make them all to 0 because I want that box to wrap right up around it. So see, now it's all nice and flush left. In this box here, this is going to contain some text. So I'm just going to put in here, some text will be here. We're going to see how well I typed because this is all in white. So I'm going to highlight this, and I am going to change my text so that it is black and we can see it. You can see I missed it. And it's currently all centered, but I'm not going to want this text to be centered in my real website. So I'm going to go up to Home. I'm going to go left, and I'm going to select this, and I'm going to make sure it's top. So that's going to kind of represent what this is going to look like. Now say on the other side, I know I want another headline, so I'm going to copy this one, and I'm going to just paste it. I'm going to grab it and move it over here. And notice it's right on the beginning of this little red line. I do want it to line up vertically with this one. And you can see where it's not quite under that guide, and this one's right up to the guide, so I need to slide it up. And see those little dash lines that show up? That's telling me this is all nice and lined up. And I'm going to make it lined up with that red line right there to create my little column. I don't necessarily want this to just be headline. I've decided on my site that this is going to be sightings. I'm going to have a little section where people can not report, but I'm going to showcase some of the sightings that have come in. And since I want multiples, I'm going to create a couple boxes, but I'm just going to do one first. So I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to just kind of eyeballing it at the moment, but I want it on either side of these red bars. I want it to be lined up with the top of this. So I'm going to click both of these and select Arrange and Align to the top. Then we're going to come in back in here and make this, I'm going to go into a neutral color. I do want this one to have a little bit of color because it's something a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and put some background on there. I'm going to make this outline black, and again I'm going to make it a little bit thicker just so we can see it. I also know that I'm going to want to put a small image in here. I'm going to make my life a little interesting. I'm going to click on the two cross lines and the box, and then I'm going to go up and I'm going to find under shape format this idea called group. I'm going to group everything. Then I'm going to copy it and paste it. And I know it's way too big, so I'm going to start scaling this guy down. So I need it to fit into this, but I want it to be more or less square. So I'm using the guides again. You can see the numbers on the screen where it says width and height. There we go. It's perfectly square. So it's inside of that box, and then I want to put some other things in here, and I'm going to need a text box to do this. So I'm going to create myself a text box, and this is where I want the location, yes, because I can control this. So I want the location name to be kind of this subheading. So we're going to go in and finish this location name. I'm going to drag this up here, and I want it to line up. So the top of that box is with the top of that. I'm going to go create another text box because this is where the actual content's going to go. And I'm just going to indicate that I want a short description of the sighting, you know, a little testimonial kind of thing of what they saw, with a link where visitors can get more information. So I'm just going to type that. Obviously this is too long, so I can just, in PowerPoint, I can just move that, and I want to line that up on the left hand side with my location name. I don't want it to extend beyond my box, so I'm just going to fit it in there. I want this location name to also be a heading, so I'm going to make it bold and a little bit bigger. And you can play around with that. That part doesn't matter, but now I want two of these. So I'm going to take this, I'm shift clicking all of these, and I'm going to go up to group again. So it's under shape format, and I'm going to go to group, and I'm going to copy it and paste it and put it underneath. But this time I want to make sure it lines up with the bottom of the box next to it so that everything is all nice and neat. So we can drag this little guide and see that our boxes are lined up. Our headline and our sightings are lined up across this horizontal line. And if I take and drag this down, I can see that these boxes are lined up and the bottom here is all lined up. So this is in essence what I'm going to want to do. Let's put in one more box. I'm going to go back down here. We're going to put in our footer now that we know how long our site is going to be. That's why I waited and did that last. So in this case, let's see, we need to go make some colors. I'm just going to say no fill on this. I'm going to give it a black. I'm going to open it up, make it a little bit thicker, and then I need to put some text in here. And I actually want this in 3 text boxes because they're going to be spread out across my footer. So this first one is just going to say my location. This is just what I've decided to put here. You guys can put whatever you need to in here. So I'm going to put that there. I'm going to copy and paste it and move it because I want another one that shows up over here, and that one's going to be my phone number, and I want that a little bit closer to the outer edge, so I'm going to move it just a touch, and I need to copy and paste this one because I want one more thing, and I'm going to put that in the center, and that's going to be my email address. And since that's not very centered, I'm going to move that until it is centered. There. Now it's nice and centered. And we need to do one more thing, and that is I'm going to put a copyright down here. This is up to you. So I'm going to put copyright, and I'm going to center that. So there's the basic. This is my outline of my home page. So this is my wireframe. This is what we're trying to accomplish, and this is what we can do in using PowerPoint. So you're going to want to do this for each of your pages. And then I'm going to take you in and show you how we can step that into prototypes.